moving their window around. I always do that. I open up a window, move it around, kind of show them that it's loose inside the frame. And then I'll point to the little piece of felt that's back and behind there that you can see and show them that's their weather stripping, right? And it's flattened over time. And I wipe some dust out of the window sills, or like on the sill or out of the track with my finger, and just show them the amount of dust that's coming out and let them know. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it makes sense. If dust is coming in, it has to get in from outside, is that correct? Yeah, okay. So if the dust is coming in, the heat's coming in. If the heat's coming in, the cold air is going out. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. So that's where I get do you feel like these windows are costing you money on a daily basis, right? Because if they have to admit the dust is coming, the heat is coming in, the cold air is going out, and they're losing money on their window. And then heat, even on cold days like today, you can shoot your heat gun on an aluminum window and it's gonna be 85, 90 degrees. And it's a lot easier to even do in the wintertime, because you're like, imagine how that's gonna be in the summer, right? This window could be 130, 140, 150 degrees on the inside, wouldn't you agree? Yes. And I make a point to show them that it's not just their glass that's letting the heat come in, but it's also their frame, because I use part of my demo that I do for them to show them that our frame doesn't conduct heat like their frame does. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, so first thing I do, and I'll bring everything in, I make a joke, now I'm not moving in, they kind of laugh. And so I tell them this is a Windows education, you get your PhD in Windows and Doors or Windows 101, whatever you want to call it. But first thing I like to do is talk about different window frames, because this is where I do my product kill all at the same time. I know you do your pros and cons, it's a little bit different, but I do my product kill and my window demo all at the same time. And so something that I learned from Isaiah a long time ago, there's 4 key components for a window to work and do its job well. Number 1, you have to have a strong, stable, and now I say efficient frame. Strong, stable, and efficient frame. Number 2, you have to have good glass to help keep the heat out. Number 3, you need good weather stripping to keep the dust out. And then number 4, slow down so you can write down.
No, okay. We're recording.
So, and then number 4, you need a meticulous install, because the best window installed properly is no longer a good window. Does that make sense? And they all agree. So I say, first, let's talk about window frames and what they're made out of. And I like what Terry says, or what you say, that you could work for NASA, have the best computer in the world. You're gonna find one thing. You're gonna find there's only 4 products, and I use 4 to build a window frame out of. There's wood, there's aluminum, there's vinyl, and then there's a composite of some sort. So let's talk about these 4 frames and figure out which one kind of makes sense for Arizona. Number 1's wood. You're not gonna see that out here because it dry rots. It's a lot of upkeep. Does that make sense? And the customers always agree. And then I say, so let me ask you, are you looking to put in a window that you have to paint or stain or put a new finish on every single year? No. Okay, then it's safe to say that wood's out. Yes, so wood's out. So the second one is aluminum. That's what you have in your window right now. That's what's been conducting the heat that's coming in. It's what's, we saw the oxidation when we did the inspection on your windows, the rusting on the inside. It's got the weather stripping that's failed. So is it safe to assume that you're not looking to replace your aluminum windows with aluminum windows again that'll cause the same exact problems? And 99 times out of 100, you're gonna get a yes. Every once in a while, you're gonna have somebody, kind of question you on aluminum, and you can go back through why aluminum is a failed product in Arizona. But 99 times out of 100, they're gonna say, no, we don't wanna do aluminum. I say, perfect. That brings us down to the last 2 products. The next one I'm gonna talk about is vinyl. So 98% of the companies out here carry a vinyl product. There's a reason for that. There's some pros to vinyl. It's not all bad, right? Number 1, it is a temperature ignorant product. So it's a very energy efficient frame, which makes it seem like it would work well in Phoenix. It's cheap. It really is. It's by far the least expensive product that you can purchase, and it's readily available. Pretty much any vinyl manufacturer will sell their window to pretty much anyone. And so it makes it easy for a contractor to go down to somewhere like Allside, pick up a vinyl window, and then come over to your house and install it, right? And they can get it at a good price. They can upcharge it, or increase their profit margin and sell it to you and make a good profit on the window. Now, this product itself that we're talking about, vinyl, it has its place, right? Like if you were flipping this home and you wanted to get out of here and you wanted to put an energy efficient window in your home so that you could get a good ROI, return on your investment, it would make sense to put a vinyl window in. You call someone like Window World or Energy Shield or Desert King, somebody that has a really cheap vinyl window, you put it in, sell the home, and you can get all your money back out of it. Or if you lived in, you know, the Pacific Northwest, it's really good with humidity. Or San Diego, let's say you lived in San Diego, you could literally put a blindfold over your eyes, grab a dart, hit a board. As long as they carry a window and do a good installation, you're fine. It doesn't matter what window you put in. The temperatures are 65 to 85 degrees year round. Does that kind of make sense? And they agree. And then I tell them, so a lot of people, or some people will come in here and tell you that the problem with vinyl windows is that we live in Arizona, it's hot, vinyl windows plastic. End of story. And that's half the truth. That is partly true, but it's half the truth. And so I have a piece of a vinyl window here, and I always show this to them. I'm like, this is a major manufacturer here in Arizona, and most people, if they've had window demonstrations, this window has been brought out to them. They just haven't brought out in this form. They haven't brought out it cut into pieces like this. And so I hand it to the customer and I tell them, grab right here and squeeze. Tell me the first 3 words that come to your mind.
Weak.
Okay, weak.
Flimsy.
All right.
Yeah. Light.
Light.
Yeah.
Weak, flimsy, and light, right? That's a good description of this product. Not a bad product depending on where you live, right? This is a very climate specific product. Like I said, if you live in San Diego, this is a great option. But here in Arizona, we have a very unique climate. It's not that we have 110 degree days. That's tough on everything. Everything out here is brown. Literally, the people, everybody's brown. Brown people, brown plants, brown houses, everything, right? The heat's just tough. But we also have a winter where you have days like today where you have 30 and 40 degree temperature swings during the winter. Now those temperature swings wreak havoc on a product like vinyl because it has a really high expansion and contraction rate. So what you can see if you put a time-lapse video on your window's moving 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch in one day, where it goes from 45 at night to 85 during the day. And that expansion and contraction of that window, that pulling and pushing against the glass and the caulking that's holding it in, and it's going like this, back and forth, right? Now, imagine if you took a rubber band and threw it out onto the concrete in the summer, came back in 3 days, it's dry and brittle, and then when you pull it, it's lost its elasticity. Well, the same thing will happen to vinyl out here, right? It'll go back and forth and back and forth, and eventually it wreaks havoc on the structural integrity of it, and it loses elasticity. Now, that's 3-4 years down the road, so you don't really start noticing anything as soon as they put the window in. It takes a little while. But imagine you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you have the sun constantly beating down your window, it's lost its elasticity, and then the heat gets to the frame. Now it starts to bend and warp and do everything that vinyl does because it's thermoplastic, right? This will change shape at 163 degrees, which your stucco outside in your wall will reach 163 degrees. Does that kind of make sense? The customer will agree. Everything that I said is very logical. It's very easy to understand. And then I use their words against them. I say, so do you want a weak, flimsy, light product that's going to warp in your home? Would it make sense at any price to put this in your wall? And everybody says no. And every once in a while you'll get the strange customer that just wants to do it as cheap as possible. There's really nothing you can do. But that's how I kill vinyl. And it works really well. I'll put this back and then I'll say, so the next product is a composite. And this is where I kind of stretch the truth a little bit. I don't talk about Pella. I just tell them, I said, look, there's 2 composites out there. There's our Infinity Ultrex, which is a fiberglass acrylic composite. And then there's Fibrex. Fibrex is put out by Renewal by Andersen. Fibrex is not a bad product. Andersen's a great company. They've been around for 100 years. Fibrex is 60% vinyl, 40% wood fiber, which means it's a majority vinyl. Now, the problems that happen to a vinyl window will happen to a Fibrex window. It's just gonna take more time because it's still a majority vinyl window. Does that kind of make sense? And they agree. And that's when I pull out my iPad, I show them pictures of how big the frames are, what the installation looks like, and I let them know, and I say, so where you're looking at on a vinyl window here, and I point back to it, you might be able to get one of these put in your house for $500 to $1,000 an opening. With Fibrex, you're looking at anywhere from $3,000 to $3,500 an opening for their composite product that they call Fibrex that has a 20-year warranty. So let me ask you, would it make sense to put a product in your home that you know is a majority vinyl, it's gonna end up costing you $3,000 to $3,500 minimum at an opening. And they say no. And from there, I've isolated it down to Ultrex. So that's how I do my product kill. It works really well in the house. Then once I've isolated it down to Ultrex, and they say, so now that the only product left is our Infinity or Ultrex, let me go ahead and show you the windows, have you guys take a look at them, and I want to kind of highlight some of the things that we talked about when we were doing the window inspection. And I always bring in the double hung if they have hung windows, and if they don't have any hung windows, then I just bring in gliders, or my gliding window. So I'll go through my product demo with the double hung for you guys, in case you guys have to bring them in. I know that.
Here, you want the tablecloth? Don't pull a holly and scratch up the whole table.
Yeah, no, we're fine.
Here, it literally scratches up the whole table. That whole table scratched down there from her doing that.
She is right though. You definitely want to lay something out on the table, even if you can tell the table's messed up. The customer tells me they don't need this. Put down the table. You know, the table's old. I still put it down anyway. It's just a matter of respect because you're in somebody else's home. So I brought both windows in because I want to give you guys a full presentation. Right, we have some hung windows going in, we have some gliding windows going in, and what I mean by a hung window, we talked about it earlier, a hung window goes up and down. And so right now what you guys have are single hungs. You have the bottom goes up and the top is stationary, would you agree? We always do, and I say, so with us, a single hung and a double hung are the same price. We can't do a double hung once it gets over 72 inches tall, but none of your windows are any taller than that, so you guys would get double hungs versus single hungs. And let me show you what that means. So a double hung means that the top goes down or the bottom goes up. Now there's a benefit to having a double hung over a single hung. Hot air rises and cold air falls. Hot air and cold air are going to go in the same place at the same time because they would just neutralize each other. And so you'll literally have hot air come up and go out the top, and it'll push cold air through the bottom and get convection airflow, just like in a convection oven. Does that kind of make sense? And so like if you have this in a bathroom and it's a steamy bathroom, you'll see the steam will literally be going up here and you'll see it rolling. You know, if the light was in there, you'll see steam rolling because the cold air will be coming into the bottom. And it just gives you a little bit more flexibility, right? Like in your bedroom, you have those two hung windows by your master bed. Say that you want to get some ventilation in your room at night, but you really don't like the wind blowing on your face. You can leave the bottom down and bring the top down and still get ventilation in the room, but not have to have wind blowing on your face. Right? Or, you know, you guys have cats. The cat likes to get up there, scratch at the screen, or sit in the windowsill whenever you open it. You could leave the bottom down and bring the top down, and that way you're still getting ventilation, but the cat isn't over there kind of messing with the screens like we talked about. So, and that happens a lot. I talk to customers about that. Right? The cats like to get in the windowsill and like kind of mess with the screens. And I said, because you guys have a double hung, you're gonna get full screen across the back versus a half screen, right? On a single hung, you only need a screen across the part that opens. On a double hung, you're gonna want a full screen because you can either open the top or the bottom. And you guys live in a one-story house, so it's not that big of a deal, but one thing I do like to show customers is that if you look here, where the button is, for the handle, or the lock, there's a button right here on the handle. If I press this in and press the lock backwards, then this portion of the window slides forward, and you can clean the outside of it without having to take the screen off. And the same thing with the top. It's a lot easier when it's in a wall, but if these two buttons here that are hidden, when the top is shut, you pull this forward, this part of the window falls forward, and you can clean the outside, leave the screen in place, and then lift it back up. I know that a lot of you guys don't like to do this in the house because sometimes it makes them difficult to get back up, but customers really like this, even when they live in a single-story home. A lot of times there's something outside the window, like a bush or a shed or something that makes it difficult to clean the window. And they like being able to fold the window in and clean it from the inside, especially if it's a two-story home. It's really nice to be able to do, right? Because you don't want to get up on a ladder. So then I always go ahead and lift this back up, and I tell them, I say, so watch this part here. When the buttons go in, you see how it moves, lift it back in place, pull up, and then they disappear. That's one thing that Marvin's done that other companies haven't, is that their buttons to release this, to fold it forward, are hidden whenever this is put back in place. Marvin wanted to create a window, and with the button here at the same time. They wanted to create a window that when you look at it, you just look at a window. You're not looking at buttons, right? So, and then right now, your hung windows, I had you try to open them, they're really difficult to move up and down. The reason for that, you have springs on the side of them. You can hear them kind of, you know, making that noise when you try to open your window. That spring has lost its tension over time. Aluminum here in the valley tends to sweat whenever it gets hot. It's oxidized and it makes it difficult to open. If you look here on ours, there's this little piece of string here, if you see it. So there's like a pulley system, essentially, inside the frame. It's called a block and tackle system. And so we don't have that spring-loaded mechanism that you guys have on your windows, which means that the windows are gonna open and close for years to come. And the whole window, it's got a full lifetime warranty all the way across if anything ever happened. It's, you know, the block and tackle system, the locks, any of the parts and pieces I showed you, we're gonna come out and replace it. So, a few other things I want to show you about this window. When I lift up here, if you watch, when I go past this button, you see those go in. So, go right here. And the window shuts. You can lock it. If I lift this up, I want you to come over here and feel this, if you would. So, there's a bulb seal. Feel that right there? It's a bulb seal. And I'm going to talk about this on this window. I'm going to talk about it on the gliding window at the same time. So, this is weather stripping that we used. It's a bulb seal. It's called Duralon. Duralon is a type of bulb seal that most people are very familiar with. They just don't know that they are. It's in your refrigerator. It's in your car door. The nice thing about it is that Duralon doesn't have any memory. So it's a bulb seal that whenever it's pressed up against something, I always use my hands, when it's pressed up against something and pushed down tight, it creates an airtight seal. And then when you open it back up, it goes to its original shape. And someone said a couple meetings ago, I can't remember who it was, but like a couch cushion, when you get up and you notice that the foam takes, 10 minutes to get back to its original shape, Duralon's not that way. When you shut your car door, you can't just hope the weather stripping is gonna work, and you can't wait 10 minutes for it to seal back up, because if you're in a rainstorm, water's gonna get in your car, right? That's what makes it optimal. And then the screens come out. There's a latch, there's a button here, and a button here. Press, the screen comes off the back. It's extruded aluminum. You can grab it, try to twist it. It's really strong. It's not like the rolled aluminum that you guys have on your screens right now. It's a big deal for customers. If they're ever taking their screens out, they're usually bent. So they're really easy to take off. And then I turn this around and show them, and I say, look, on the back here, if you look, this is the slope sill. I'm gonna close this up. You can see the slope on the sill here. And with the bulb seal that we have on the bottom, the Duralon seals that we have on the side, there's no weep holes. So we don't need a way for water to be able to weep out of this window, because water doesn't get in. The beautiful thing about water not getting in a window means that dust doesn't get inside a window. Because water's it's gonna find the path of least resistance and find any way to get inside your window. Does that kind of make sense? And they agree. So, and one last thing I point out to them is they all come with sash lifts. And the reason they come with the sash lift, our windows are built very tight. One thing with Marvin and Infinity that they talk about all the time is strength and stability. So they built a very, very tight window, so they put sash lifts on it to make it easier to get the window up and down. A lot of customers really, really like the sash lifts. They do. Their windows right now are hard to open. Had a guy, he had Pella windows in his house, they didn't have those on there, and I watched him try to open his window, and he was like, trying to shove on it. And it's out in Fountain Hills. He really liked the idea of the sash lift. So all of these things right here that I just showed you guys, it's kind of overkill on the window, but you never know what is going to pique the customer's interest when you're going through something. So you have to go through every part of the component. So any questions about the double hung window that I just went over? The customer always says no.
The